We are gonna go over so much in today's video and I am excited. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Laura and today I will be sharing what a full day of eating looks like for me as someone who has lost 200 pounds. I feel like this video is important to share because not only will it give you a good idea what life looks like after weight loss, but also what it might require in order for you to create long-lasting and healthy weight loss. For those who are new here, I have been able to keep off 200 pounds for 4+ years now. And this channel is dedicated to help individuals who struggle within their weight loss journey and to teach them how to effectively overcome the hardships that they may face. So if you are somebody who is ready to break through and experience weight loss success, hit that follow and join the community. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. As you probably have seen from the title of this video, I will be talking about topics regarding emotional binge eating and food addiction. If you find that these topics are triggering for you, I truly understand. But I also encourage you to take a look at my other videos. They may help with processing through those emotions. So first, I feel like it's important to note that because I struggled with prioritizing myself, my wants, and my needs, and created behaviors that exemplified that, I found that I was caught in a cycle of emotional instability, which extremely affected the way I was treating myself, my body, and my process. With that being the case, I created a morning routine that included steps that would assist me with managing my emotions, prioritize my needs, and aligned what I wanted for myself and my journey. So every morning before I do anything else, I tend to Laura. So first things first, I start with rehydrating my body by drinking my water. And then I move on to making my coffee. I found that hydrating my body with water before drinking my coffee has helped with keeping me more energized, and it prevents that coffee crash. And we all know when we don't feel good, we don't tend to do good. So if you are a coffee drinker, which ain't nothing wrong with that, I definitely encourage you to try that out. After I make my coffee, I do my journaling, prayer, setting my intentions for the day, and meditation. A lot of people tend to overlook or shy away from this part. It's usually due to it not being a behavior that they're accustomed to, and or they just don't have the time. And I say that we all make time for the things that we want to make time for. And if you want change, then you have to make changes. Remember, this process is all about behavioral changes. If you are stuck in a cycle of continuously doing the same behaviors, it is so important for you to get in the middle of that and start creating, and it could be small, start creating and mastering new behaviors. And I found that just by adding this consistently to my daily routine is a huge game changer. If you struggle with anxiety, stress, fear, doubt, or even staying focused on your goals. Personal hygiene is a must, of course, but after that, I begin my workday with contacting my clients, checking my emails, and creating content for you all. Around 11:30, I have my first meal. This usually consists of a source of protein and carbs. Currently, my favorite is light Greek yogurt, a half a pear, and this protein granola that I found at Walmart. Other days I might have a protein bar or a breakfast burrito made with egg whites, cheese, and avocado. Currently, I am tracking my intake. The reason why I am is because I thoroughly do enjoy it. I enjoy the accountability factor. It doesn't bother me. It's not time consuming. And then as further we go in the video, I'll also add some other pointers that I have included to make sure that I'm not overly obsessing over me tracking, which is important. Now, this is what works for me, and I'm fully aware that this isn't for everyone. Some might even say that, and they believe that intuitive eating is the best approach. And I have tried that, and I saw the benefits of doing so. But just doing that alone and not including anything else, honestly, it gave me a huge sense of anxiety. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. Nobody said I was perfect. So I figured out a way that I can incorporate both to ease that anxiety. The most important thing is that you are incorporating things that work for you in your journey, that you feel good doing. Nobody else. I always encourage, even if there's some things that I might say like, Laura, don't really agree with that. That is fine. It's not for you. I have found the best progress with incorporating things from different sources, different information, and creating my own plan Okay, so I encourage you to do the same. So back to how I learned how to incorporate both. First, I always honor my hunger signals. I never allow numbers to take control over me and how I feel for that day. Meaning, if I'm hungry after I have eaten a meal that I have tracked, then I eat more. I honor my body. That's first and foremost. And this took time to develop. And for those who don't know what intuitive eating, it is giving your body what you feel it needs. So at that point, when I was struggling in the beginning with emotional binge eating and food addiction, I can almost guarantee that my body would have been telling me to eat foods that were highly processed, highly palatable, high in sugars, processed sugars, salt, fast food. That's what I would have been intuitively guided to eat, because that's what my body would have been telling me to eat, which in my eyes and what I believe and what I feel, let's make that clear, would have been completely counterproductive to my process and what I was trying to accomplish. Again, to each his own, but I absolutely do not recommend trying intuitive eating in the beginning stages of overcoming food addiction and or emotional binge eating. But again, you do what you feel is best for you in your journey. Emotional binge eating and extreme dieting and food addiction made it nearly impossible for me to be in tune with my hunger cues. Learning to be in tune with them has been a hell of a process. But what has helped with this process is practicing being mindful, aware, and present. I check in with my body by simply asking myself, are you truly hungry right now? And learning to trust that response by giving myself time and permission to respond accordingly. Another tool that has helped has been being mindful while eating by eliminating any and all distractions. As you can see, I'm not perfect at this part, but I try to implement it as much as possible. It's one of those moments where I'm gonna say, don't do as I do as I say. So around 11:30, 12 o'clock, it's gym time. Water intake is about 1 gallon a day, and I rarely drink anything outside of that. When I do, I have noticed that it extremely affects the amount of water that I'm getting in throughout the day. It drastically cuts that water intake. So I make sure that that is my priority, not only because it helps with making sure that I am hydrated, but it also helps with flushing out any toxins that may be within my body, which ultimately makes me feel good. When you feel good, you do good. So after the gym, I have my next meal for the day, which always includes a healthy source of protein, nutrient-dense carb, and a source of fat. I am in love with these extreme tortillas. The macros are pretty good and the texture is amazing. One of the major swaps that I have made within my daily intake is my cheese. So I opt out for either fat-free or reduced fat, or the mozzarella as well. Those are usually my options that I choose from, just because honestly, I love cheese. And second is because it allows me to eat more for less. I try to make sure that my salt intake is managed while seasoning my meals for obvious reasons. And I tend to choose sides that are higher in fiber because this helps with my satiety and keeping me full throughout the day. I do use cooking sprays majority of the time to help reduce my fat intake. I prefer getting my fat either from my cheeses or when I have eggs or from my protein and things like that, or if I have avocado. But when I do use oils, I definitely use a form of measurement, and I try to stay away from any fried foods. So I decided to have some light sour cream with my quesadilla and managed to at least eat lunch with 0 distractions. Lunch is usually my biggest meal because this is when my appetite tends to be the largest, which usually happens after a pretty intense workout. And my workouts, I'm not gonna lie, are intense. I love lifting weights. My primary focus right now is just to increasing my muscle. So my workouts are hardcore, not even gonna lie, but I enjoy it and I love it. This is my thing. It makes me feel badass. I have been tracking my macros and using tools like volume eating, intermittent fasting, and the 80-20 rule to help me create healthy and long-lasting weight loss for the last 3 years or so. These are tools that I enjoy. I'm gonna say this again. If this is not something that you enjoy, restricts you way too much, then that might not be the direction that you need to go in. I will say this though, when you are accustomed to having behaviors that allow you to be free for all and just eat whatever you want. Any diet is going to feel limited in some way, shape, or form. When I say extremely restrictive, that means you are almost nearly feel like you are suffering, okay, to an extent of extreme hunger. And that's why it's important to know and be connected with your hunger signals and know and be able to determine and try different eating styles so you're able to determine, okay, hey, you know what? This helps with my hunger. It keeps me full. It keeps me satisfied. So I'm not overly food focused. So just finding those things is so important. That's why I have created a plan that includes multiple different styles of eating, and it works for me. So I encourage you to not feel like you have to be stuck in this window or this box, I should say, and experiment and take some steps outside of the norm, so you are able to establish and be clear on what works for you. So with the tools that I have included, I found that I have been able to experience enjoyment within my eating styles and my diet and my weight loss journey, balance, sustainability, accountability, which is important, and learning how to create moderation. It's true that the more you enjoy what you're doing, the longer you will stick with it. So I encourage everyone to make that a priority when you're figuring out what the best diet is for you. Matter of fact, I have a video that I'm gonna either tag here or there that'll help you figure out what that best diet is and how to go about figuring out what the best diet is for you. Now, before I started incorporating all these tools, I knew that it was important that I tackled my struggles with food addiction. I did that by spending some time away from foods that were processed, high in sugars, highly palatable, lots of saturated fats, fast foods, and things like that. Food addiction is very real and it should be taken seriously. I believe, especially in the community of women in general, and maybe primarily women of color, because I don't see a lot of us speaking about that. And this doesn't, say anything about those that are not, but it's time for us to be honest about what we're struggling with, because it's not just that you can't stick to a diet. The issues can sometimes be deeper. And it took me forever to really admit that was my issue and that was one of my problems. But when I did, because the first step is being aware and admitting to, I have an issue with this, I began to start my journey towards recovery, which is important. It's easy to tell people to just stop eating so much, but when you're facing food addiction, it isn't that easy to do because it becomes a psychological battle. Ingredients that are in these foods that we love so much affect us mentally. They are created literally to make us addicted and to want more. And then when you begin to associate it with helping you feel better, and we develop that connection, it makes it even worse. Highly palatable foods trigger feel-good brain chemicals, including dopamine and serotonin. These foods affect the same area of the brain as drugs and alcohol, making it nearly impossible to gain control. This is why if you struggle with food addiction, I strongly recommend that you consider taking some time away from these foods before even thinking about learning how to incorporate them into your daily plan. This time away is similar to what a drug addict or alcoholic has to go through during their recovery. The only difference is one day you have the option of learning how to incorporate these foods and be around them with more control. There are tools like pills and surgery that will help you with suppressing your appetite. That's the route that you feel is good for you. By all means, do what's best for you. I just encourage you to thoroughly do your research and understand that these two have to be kept up with as well. And they still require work and behavioral change. You have got to stop ignoring the mental part of this process and start tending to the psychological traumas that help create these unhealthy behaviors. Because it's easy to go back where you were after making progress if you don't. So I love me some Skinny Pop. And those who watch my content faithfully, they already know. So normally I tend to have a snack that's higher in fiber, and this helps with Again, satiety, staying full. But I also like my snack to be what I call a fun food. Although I do enjoy all of my meals, incorporating snacks like these break up the monotony of things, which honestly just helps with the mental process for me. Dinner tends to be a little lighter because I'm in bed shortly after. This just helps with my digestion purposes. And I find myself not as hungry due to my lunch being so filling. As you can see, I try to make sure that I'm incorporating lots of greens and veggies. Is it always like this? No. But because I have practiced getting in tune with my body, I know when I'm not getting in enough veggies and fruits because cravings start to ramp up. I want to snack more. When I become aware of that, I make sure that I review my meals and wrap up on the nutrient-dense carbs. This usually helps almost instantly with reducing those side effects. I'm currently eating about 170 grams of protein a day. I have found that it helps with my satiety and maintaining and building lean muscle. I know this plays a big part in maintaining my weight loss. The more muscle you have on your body, the more calories your body burns at rest. Another swap that I have made is with my dressing. I usually go for the Bold House. It's really, really good. And then my mom got me hooked on the sugar-free French, and it's really tasty too. I rarely weigh my leafy greens because they are so low in caloric density, and I just believe it's a little obsessive when it comes to tracking. But I am mindful with my dressings and add-ons to my salads. They can add up quickly. You would be surprised. Matter of fact, track one of your normal salads in some type of fitness app. My favorite one is MyFitnessPal. See what it comes out to. I want you to let me know in the comments what you get. After dinner, I will admit, I almost always save room for dessert. To me, it's a way of satisfying the other part of me that wants a little goodie here and there. And through my process of overcoming emotional eating, I have learned the importance of allowing these moments and not to deny them every time. I will say that I've learned to mother this situation by saying, no, not today. Let's choose this option instead. Sounds silly, but it works. Because otherwise it can get out of control because that other side can be ruthless. If I say no every single time, that other side comes with a vengeance and is ready to eat it all and then some. This also took me time to learn and understand it is a process, but with lots of practice, patience, and understanding, I was able to overcome. If you don't take anything else from this video, remember these things. 1, you can overcome your struggles with emotional binge eating and food addiction. And 2, the most important part is figuring out what works best for you and what's enjoyable during your process of creating new behaviors that are sustainable and healthy. Before we go, I wanted to invite you to my weekly support group where I host live meetings and go over topics like these and much more. If you're interested, please make sure you check the description. I also offer one-on-one coaching and that information will be there as well. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please hit that like. I would love to hear from you in the comments. I love you all and I'll see you next week.